What's up, everybody? It's me. It's PLD.
And I'm Richard Eric Jarvie. Welcome to Class Action.
Welcome to Class Action. Welcome to Class Action, indeed. This has been kind of a couple of weeks for us, interestingly enough, making some different recording dates, different times, different areas, because of one man, Richard Eric Jarvie, because you're doing something very interesting this week, aren't you? Tell me about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not really a vacation. It's a midsummer thing in Estonia that happens every year. People usually, dance around bonfires. We don't go as nuts
Jump off
as
cliffs.
they do in the, sometimes when there was water down there. But the actual holiday itself, it has come from the Scandinavian ritual that started that you see in Midsummer, which is of course it's a movie and it's overblown, but there are roots there. So this is where I'm going to, but it's like a good hang amongst friends. It's not as freaky.
Not as freaky. Are you sure? Yeah, are you sure? Is it really?
Not sure.
Not sure. Okay.
You can't talk about it.
Okay, try to get out. Can I join next year maybe or something? I'll
of course. Yeah, we want tourists there.
Oh, good, perfect. Well, behind the scenes, I don't want to talk too much on the sausages, maybe. Generally speaking, we record on Saturday mornings and we put it out Saturday afternoon. Last week, Tag and Game, we recorded in the middle of the week to throw up for Saturday. I'm recording on Monday morning. So it's been almost a week already since I recorded this. So welcome to the future.
Yeah, but we are kind of following Ben and Drew's suit that way, that they didn't skip AMA for, I don't know, maybe a year and a half or something. Yeah. They did straight shows all the time, sometimes pre-recorded. So we just feel like we should follow their suit in that way.
That's true. I mean, feel weird. I feel weird. At one point, I did at one point think about when we had a hard time scheduling. Should I get a guest host? Maybe we should do a guest host on it. Then I just feel weird having a guest host. I kind of I know AMA did it again, they do it, and it was fine. But I was kind of
better not.
This is my time to be with you. But I have some people lined up to take your place.
Sure you do.
We'll talk about that.
All right.
Well, I got
to do a show with them.
When you're popular, when you're after Tenet comes out, your shirt comes out, and you become this big, rich, famous actor.
When my shirt comes off,
exactly, Gucci style. And when that happens, I
actually considered being on screen shirtless, just because of Gucci.
I'm telling you, man, do it. He's got a whole thing going out, the Gucci verse thing. He's got his whole Patreon and his whole shows now, and he's always shirtless, and he's getting people to go shirtless with him. It's been a really big movement. I have not gone shirtless yet. I don't think people want to see that. I don't want to scare people away. I'm looking for people to.
It's all about confidence, Paul. It's because you
I am confident you don't want to see it. Oh man.
Anyway, maybe I'm bottomless right now. You don't know that.
Oh, I'm definitely bottomless. That I have no.
You wear pants?
What are pants?
Pants?
Anyway, I digress. We get up on a tangent here.
We're doing Batman Begins versus The Dark Knight Rises.
All about costuming, all about taking costumes off and on. But Batman Begins versus The Dark Knight Rises. I love
those posters.
Sir. I love finding those posters.
They're great posters.
But you know what? We should actually talk about what is class action. What do we do on class action? Well, we take things like Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises, things that have maybe some connection, possibly put up against each other. It could be movies, could be franchise. It tends up being a lot of times movies because that's what we like doing. But we can also do franchises. We can also do actors. We can do actors against themselves, depending on the situation. We talked about at one point doing Tom Cruise's action movies versus Tom Cruise's drama roles. We might do something like that in the future, maybe giving away some secrets. I don't know.
That has to be an upcoming thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're definitely doing that.
All things like that. We put them together. We make up these 5 custom categories where we decide from against who's going to win in the battle against the death. And it doesn't always work out the way we think it's going to. That's part of the show.
Ready Player One versus Tron was
doozy. It was. Tron whooped its ass, and we're like, what the hell just happened here? I don't get it. Same as last week.
Movies. Sorry.
I was saying Tag and Game Night was the same thing. I mean, especially a close one, and Tag whooped his ass. Spoilers, you should go back and watch the episodes. I'm giving away secrets. Go watch the episodes. But yeah, it's always a very interesting thing to do, the show. I love it. I love it more and more to find out what our end result is going to be.
Oh, absolutely. And in this case, the Dark Knight trilogy, The Dark Knight is clearly considered and has gotten the most nominations. Everything is considered the best out of them, but between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises. I want to see who wins that battle.
Because that makes it more interesting. That's what we thought about. Like, we're not going to put Dark Knight in that. And the weird thing is, it's not like we are those who say Dark Knight is the best, because there's definitely a small pocket. I don't say, I don't want to say small. There's a pocket of fans who love Batman Begins and think it's a great part of the story. There is a pocket of fans who hate Dark Knight Rises, but there's also a pocket of fans who really super enjoy Dark Knight Rises. So I kind of like this is such a. I know you. I am also one who likes Dark Knight Rises quite a bit. I also love Batman Begins as well. So it just seemed like a more interesting battle to me to go on. Who knows? Maybe
for sure. Lots of fist pumps, lots of great moments. These movies, they're actually like we're comparing movies that are in the same franchise, in the same like trilogy, but they are vastly different from one another.
Oh, absolutely they are. That's what makes them so interesting. Although I will say, maybe at some point, maybe down the line, we'll take the winner of today's episode and maybe put it up against Dark Knight just for the hell of it.
We could try that for sure.
I mean, I don't know. We won't do it right back to back. But what's interesting to me, when JP, great Jacob Patrick, who does our thumbnails, he usually submits thumbnails to me every week, and usually I'm kind of like, yep, that's it, done. I don't need to talk to him at all. I'm like, this is fine. I mean, like, because he's so good at what he does. It was interesting, like this week he submitted his first one, and it was different than the one ended up. But actually, my first note for him, he had these it was like two great Batman shots. He had other Batman shots in the background. And it was hard to tell because we took the lettering off the thumbnail.
Yeah,
we didn't need to do it.
There's no titles anymore.
Right, and so I was like, what? Because we have a YouTube title, etc. But I was like, wow, we need to do something. And then I suggested putting the villains in the background. I'll throw it up there again. And he's like, he said, of course, he goes, yeah, no, I was like the same thing. And to his credit, he probably already has whipped up, so it's pretty cool to go. But that's what I love about this. And that dedicates, you have the Batman Begins Batman, the Dark Knight Rises Batman, but you have the villains that are such a great piece of the puzzle in this one. You got a lot of villains too. It's not just the one. These are just the representations of the villains. But that's one of my favorite parts about both these movies is the villains. So just like Dark Knight in a way too. Joker is one of the biggest parts of that. So
yeah, the villain is almost, if not even more important in some cases than the hero.
It is.
You can have a great movie with a villain that's like that overshadows the heroes,
and it'd be good. I mean, a lot of people argue that does become problematic because if it's a hero, you should really care about the hero, want to learn more about the hero, and I get that. But I guess it's finding that balance is the best way to go about it. But I digress. We're getting into our categories pretty much.
But before we introduce our categories, we have a few games to play.
We always do. The first one we always play. I love it. This one. I talk about this one. I love it. As you may or may not know, if you're a fan of the show or you've been watching for a while, or if you've seen me, and pretty much anywhere you've seen me online, my favorite actor by far is Ed Harris. God, I love that man. Look at that steel eyes.
Fan of him.
He makes every movie he's in better. He's one of those kind of actors. There's some of them out there. They don't mail in performances, and they really they just, no matter how the script could be a horrible movie, but you put them in it, and it just adds a legitimacy to it. And in some cases, when you put them in a good movie, it's like adding just a frosting on the cake. So I like to add them into every movie we do, just to see what we can do. Sometimes we recast, sometimes we write entirely new roles, and see how it works exactly. In this case. We talked about it. I said that we didn't need to put them in both movies. We could just put them in the Batman universe because that just makes sense to me. And the funny thing is, I'm going to throw us under the bus here a little bit. Usually, Jarvie either forgets and comes up with like a splendid, amazing decision at the last minute. This time, I actually didn't get the chance to prepare as much this week because our short week schedule now.
Wow!
So I'm going to
swap this week.
This week. I mean, I have some ideas I could go with, but I'm still not sure which one I'm going to go with first. I want to let you jump in and go with your pick, and then I'll riff off of it. So I'm going to see if it's the one that I have in mind. So without further ado, Jarvie, what did hers?
Sorry,
does it? So go ahead.
I approached this like two ways. First off, I recast him, and like in Batman Begins, I recast him, and in The Dark Knight Rises, I created a role for him.
Oh, okay.
So, but these have to be viewed separately.
Okay.
Because I thought about this long and hard. Where would I have him as? In Begins, I mean. And I do love Liam Neeson, but I think Ed Harris's Ra's al Ghul, it's the easy choice. But I feel like he's just ruthless. Like Liam Neeson is almost too nice of a guy. Like I would say Ra's al Ghul falls in the category of Thanos a bit. He's almost like Thanos is not an anti-hero, but his intentions, like the intentions of the League of Shadows, is actually the preservation of humanity, the cleanseness or whatever, like cleansing humanity.
Cleansing humanity, yeah.
They want humanity to strive. They don't want to just kill people. They want to make the world a better place.
Right.
And I think Ed Harris would add more brutality and ruthless to his, like, and sort of like the sternness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I like that.
Then again, in The Dark Knight Rises, now there, I created a new role for him, and I would have him as the father of Rachel Dawes. When Rachel dies, he becomes revenge filled. He wants to find this Batman who is the downfall of her, and he searches the globe. He doesn't have to search the globe. I haven't thought the script through, but somehow in the search of Batman, he ends up in the prison. Now, when Bruce ends up in the prison, his back is broken. He's all like broken down, and when he's like hanging, like he's just like, hang there until your back is like, until you can walk. And right before he's able to walk, Ed Harris shows up and he's like, I've found you. I don't know how he found out that Bruce is Batman. That's not important.
It's not important.
And they have a showdown when Bruce has his back broken, but he's fighting, Old Man Dawes. So it's a fair fight.
Oh, I kind of like that.
And he, I'm not sure if he can't kill him because this Batman doesn't kill. He has to incapacitate him somehow. Anyway, I'm getting off track. That's the role I would create.
I love that role. Wow, that's more than I even like. I don't think I ever considered something like that. I'm loving it. I am loving it. Oh, wow. I love both of them too, because actually I like exactly what you said. Like I was thinking, Ra's al Ghul was one of the ones I was thinking about, obviously, and he could add intensity, a dark. He, and I like what you said about Liam Neeson being too nice. He is almost like he's always had this warm feel about him. It's very comforting, and it kind of works a little bit in the beginning of the film when he is trying to train Batman or Bruce, and there's a little bit of that, but
no, there's a lot of they are so tight. There's a definite father-son connection there.
Correct, but I do think it'd almost work better if he had like a little bit more menace underneath him, like Ed would have given the character. I like that.
Yep.
I mean, I also threw together as my ideas. I thought about, I passed my head to have him do Alfred, but it doesn't work because he's not English. I passed my head. He could do Jim Gordon because he could do Gordon.
Yeah, I think Gordon would be great for him. Gordon would be great.
But one other role I would love to see him play also, though, is maybe because I've seen him in a couple of these movies, like State of Grace, have him play the Tom Wilkinson role, Carmine Falcon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's...
It's more of a typical one, but I think he could have made it just as good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Tom Wilkinson is one of my favorite parts about Batman Begins, like the way, like, bang, like a dog. Like, this is the way he says like it's so great. It's a great role. But I think I would have been awesome in that role as well. So... But I'm going to piggyback off you. I like the Old Man Dawes. I'm going to keep that one. I want to write that in. Okay. I feel like writing that script and putting him in there. Old Man, you got to call him Old Man Dawes also. That's what
Old Man Dawes.
Well, there you go. There's Ed Harris for the week in the Batman universe. I like that idea. I think Jeremy will give you the win this week without even though we don't really win. We don't. Who wins?
No. Give me the win. I need a win.
Remember, should we start like we always like talk every once in a while you mention like you always win or I always win this part. We never actually document.
I'm very competitive.
You are. I always think maybe we should keep it documented eventually, and then like after like 20 weeks we'll say the Duzio Jarvie 20 to 13. I don't know, whatever.
We should actually ask the chat to decide who won this week. So
I like that.
Throw in the chat.
Maybe from now on we should do that. Every week we'll start to have the chat decide, and they can throw it in there and see. So obviously we won't know until we watch it. But
yep.
All right. Anyway, let's move on to your favorite segment, or at least your favorite segment to describe. I like watching you describe this because it's always fun to do.
Yes, let's get into the categories. First category.
The first category is the public defender.
The public defender. Yes. Well, let me explain who public defenders are. They're Hey, Paul, you were going to say?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just waiting for your describe.
So our segment, the public defender. Why did we come up with that name? Because public defenders, usually in movies, are underpaid, overworked. They're tired. They have to make things up on the spot as they go. Henceforth, see how I use that word?
Henceforth, yeah.
We are using it for our off-the-cuff list because we are getting a top 5 or a top 6 list from usually someone in the army. Actually. And we don't know what the topic is, and we will have to come up with a top 6 list on the spot, and that is why it's called the Public Defender.
Good job. I like that. We mean no disrespect to any actual public defenders.
Absolutely not.
Because they do a very important job and everything else. It's just kind of like in the movie sense, you know.
Do you know what I always think of when I think of a public defender? But he's not a public defender, but the type usually is like the Ted from Scrubs. Like, I know the actor died, R.I.P. Like, I love that show, but he was always like the warden, like, oh, like flop sweat, like overwork, like,
but he comes up with stuff.
Those like tales.
That's true, but he usually comes up with solutions. Though it's kind of funny.
Yeah, but he's so stressed out.
Right, he's so stressed out
every time.
Right. That's us. That's us. Also, we'll hear the top 5. We're kind of like both of you should go. Oh, fuck.
Oh
man. Sometimes we do have guests that come on the show. We record at weird times, and we just have them appear. I had Kim on here once, my wife. We had Danielle on. This week, we do have a general from the Action Army, Brandon Buckingham, but he's not going to be appearing live. He did send us a video that he uploaded to his YouTube channel private, and he sent me the link. So I have the link ready to go. I've only seen the picture, the first thing. So I haven't seen the actual list. I don't do that. I don't cheat. I'm not like that kind of guy. But I have it shared. And also after we give our list, I'll bring another video on of his list, his answers.
Yep.
Which, as it happens, usually ends up being a lot better than ours because he's prepared or has more time to thought
That's
about
the
it.
point. That's the point.
So, further ado, let me get this up. There he is. There's General Buckingham.
Cool hat.
Cool hat. Yeah, I think he's ready to go. He knows this Batman. He was excited about doing a Batman one. It's usually, that's the other thing too. It's usually related to whatever show we're doing. Obviously, we try to have the top 5 be somewhat at least tangentially related. We didn't test this before because professionals that we are. So, Jarvis, if you can't hear this, let me know, and I'll have to reshare the screen. So
it should work. Usually works.
It does, but I have to on StreamYard. If you hit this little button, you have to hit click share audio when you share a screen.
Oh, okay.
And I usually remember this every once in a while. I'll just forget, and I'll press play. And I'll be like, I'm hearing it fine. I'm like, like, I can't hear anything. So let me know. So, without further ado, let's see what Mr. Buckingham has to say.
Hello there, gentlemen.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Hey, guys. It's Brandon here. I got a little scenario for you fellas. Top 5 related to Batman. So there were multiple things I could have chose here. But what I decided to go with is the top 5 best moments in Batman cinematic history.
Ooh.
And this is going to include Batman, or 1989 Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Chris Nolan's Batman, and Ben Affleck's one. So Suicide Squad, BVS, and Justice League.
Okay.
So I'm very excited to hear what you guys have to say about the top 5 best cinematic moments for Batman.
All right.
Enjoy, fellas.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Buck. Wow. That's we always say top 5. It really had to be a top 6. We try to go back and forth. And
we can do a 5, but we just want to go 3 and 3. Yeah.
But the funny thing, I always tell people top 5. I guess I'm like, it's actually top 6. Well, either way. Wow. We're not including Batman 66, which is a shame for me because I would have some moments. Maybe. I don't know. But as far as these go, wow.
I'll go one.
Go first. Go ahead. Go your first one.
Yeah. The first time we see Affleck's Batman when he's in the ceiling, like
the
ambushing the officers. Yeah, that one.
Horror moment. Yeah, that's a good one.
Friggin' awesome.
Okay, I like that. I'll go with another one with Batman Affleck. Like it's almost cliched, but I still love it. That whole idea when Batman and Superman first, they kind of square off, and Batman runs the Batmobile into Superman. And jumps out and has like conversation. Superman's all badass and like you're being confronted by Superman, a fucking god, and he's just like, "Do you bleed? You will." It's like, you're a fucking badass. I love you, Ben Affleck.
Well, yeah, he's my favorite Batman. So
he's mine too.
We've only gotten BVS now. Let me think. Okay, I don't know which, because I'll be honest. Before the Nolan Batman, Batman, the
Mhm.
Batman trilogy. I've seen all the movies, but I can't distinguish them as well. And I think it might be Kilmer's Batman, but there's a moment. Anyway, just from it's like a childhood memory. I remember Batman coming through the glass ceiling at like a theater event or something.
Okay.
He's like coming like through like a chandelier or something. I remember that moment vividly from my childhood, but I can't remember which. Is it Kilmer's Batman?
I think it might be. It might be Keaton. I think it might be Keaton actually. But I'm trying to remember the exact. I kind of vaguely remember that moment, but like without the context of where the story.
Yeah, I can't remember. This is where my Batman history gets foggy. Is like the older ones. But it's just from my childhood, I remember one of like the moment where it comes to the chandelier or like the glass roof or something.
It was definitely the 80s Batman or 80s 90s Batman. So I'll go with that. Well, I'll go with that. I really have to sit down. We're going to have to do some kind of episode of Batman, so I have to make you watch. Say we did Superman, I have to make you watch the Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman Robin.
I just
again.
recently did watch them, but I can't remember which movie that was in.
I'll probably not do anything from Batman and Robin because, spoiler alert, I love the movie, but not for the right reasons. I will say Michael Keaton's Batman is one of my favorites too. One of my favorite cinematic moments of Batman. It's kind of a sort of a weird one. Michael Keaton is as Bruce Wayne talking to Vicky Vale. He goes to the apartment and he's been kind of like trying to war with like telling her or not. And like he's like, I got something to tell you. And Vicky's like, all of a sudden Vicky has to go. I forget exactly. Like she has to go, and she gets a phone call or the doorbell rings. And all you see is you see Bruce like Michael just turns, go.
Yeah,
he's like trying to like psych himself up to say it. It's like not really a Batman type thing, but that always struck me as funny.
It worked.
It worked very well. Okay. So I gotta say, Michael Keaton was such. I mean, I could go off for hours on this alone, but I think Michael Keaton was such a weird choice. But like after you watch him, you're like, it's pretty fucking good because he's pretty fucking good at what he does.
Yeah.
All right, so that's 2 for each. You got one more for us. We'll throw out there.
Yeah, I think. I don't want to because I've got loads of them, but they're my fist pumps. I don't want to give them now.
How about Dark Knight? From Dark Knight, maybe.
That's what I'm thinking of, but.
Okay, fair enough.
But it's not. They're all Joker moments. They're not Batman. Like we're talking about Batman moments.
Okay, I'll go.
You even said Bruce. No, I think it could be considered a Batman moment because he wants to say that he's Batman. So
exactly.
Yeah. All right, you go first.
All right. I mean, the moment it's such a very big Batman moment. I don't have the exact quote in front of me because I haven't rewatched The Dark Knight recently. But the end of Dark Knight when he makes that decision that like.
All right. Yeah.
When it's such a Batman moment that he tells Gordon to blame him. Don't let that because he needs to have Harvey Dent be this like shining beacon of light that he had been, and that would destroy the city. So he's gonna take the heat, he's gonna run away. Even though Batman just saved the day, just saved Gordon's children, he knows at the end of the day, I'll take the heat. Use me humming. It's such an amazing heroic moment. That's one of my favorite Batman. It's just a very Batman moment to me. I know funny thing, we're not talking a lot of action here. Like usually think about Batman kicking ass and stuff, or detective. But to me, it's that heroic moment that gives me that Batman feel. So that's my third. I'm going to go with.
That's a good one. All right, I've got one in The Dark Knight. When it's pretty much at the start of the movie when the copycats show up and they're like, we haven't seen Batman and they're like shooting guns. You're almost like, oh, cool. But you're like, okay, they're shooting guns. That's not Batman. And when he finally shows up going, I'm not the one wearing hockey pads. And like the music comes in like.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good too. All right. Thanks, Buck, for that list. That was actually a lot of fun to do. I actually feel like there's a lot we missed probably, but that's the whole.
Yeah, we did. I'll be honest, like, my favorite ones are when we're talking fist pumps, so they're in there.
Okay, well, yeah, so we'll definitely talk more later on. But you know what? Let's see what Buck himself has to say. I have a video for him.
Let's hear it. Probably better than ours.
Probably better than ours. Brandon Buckingham, what do you have to say? Or I'm talking.
Wow, 3 minutes.
Sure, so fine. Yeah, that's what I find that the list is more because that's an easier thing. He has to go through his 5. Let's see, Buck, what you got to do.
Hey, everyone, I'm back. So I hope you guys enjoyed the little discussion I was able to give you guys here. I'm gonna
We
just
did.
kinda
Thanks,
go
Buck.
over what my top 5 moments were.
I'll pretend like we see a lot of
To
talking.
be honest, it was really hard not to pick them all from the Dark Knight
Agreed.
trilogy. Chris Nolan. Those 3 movies are pretty good there. But here we go. Number 5 is the first time we see Christian Bale's Batman in Batman Begins. He just
It's very good.
it kind of feels like a horror movie. He just comes out of nowhere, scares all of these criminals, and then yes, who are you? First time we hear the voice,
Yeah,
Batman.
That's true.
Which really became a meme for some people. So definitely.
That's what I paused there real quick. Another thing I wanted to throw in there because it's very similar to Michael Keaton's first entrance too. They have a similar first entrance on the top of the building where Michael Keaton's Batman roughs up some people, and then he because the criminals are talking to each other about like, I heard Joey got knocked off the roof. Joey took a walk off the building. He doesn't know what he's talking about. The Batman, come on! The guy runs away, and he grabs it. Like, who are you? He does it. I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
And like not quite the voice, but it's a similar entrance. I think Nolan was definitely not aping him, honoring it. I can't think of the word. That's so early morning. But basically honoring the homage. That's what we're looking for. Thank you. Thank you for helping with the English language, Charlie. That's why I have you on board. That's why I have you on board.
I said homage, so that wasn't correct.
But you get me where I need to go. That's the important thing.
That's true.
All right, sorry. Buckle ahead. What's your next 4, Buck?
One of my favorite moments. It's always good to see kind of that first time seeing a new version of Batman. We've had several of them. So next, number 4 is a very iconic moment from the Batman comics. It's on The Dark Knight Rises when Bane breaks Batman's back with his knee, drops him on his knee. His knee basically pops him right in the back.
Yep.
And we all know what happened from there.
The vertebrae sticking out.
Did you ever read the comic books at all of that?
Yeah.
You have? Okay. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Oh, you totally lied to me. I actually bought it for a second. I was like, oh, it's actually cool. You should read it.
I've read The Killing Joke and Hush, but I haven't read the Dark Knight comics.
Nightfall is a storyline. It's actually Dark Knight Rises is based on 2 different storylines. It's a combination of Nightfall and oh man, I'm blanking totally. No Man's Land, and they're both very cool, very long and drawn out, but they're very cool. And especially if you like Nolan's Dark Knight Rises, you'll like those stories. I think some similar storylines. A lot of people. The only difference is the cool part about it is you have all these people like replacing Batman. Dick Grayson replaces Batman for a while. There's a character called Azrael who replaces Batman for a while. While he's broken. It's all kind of cool stuff though. So. Anyway,
all right. Yeah, there's no comic book stores in Estonia, so
that's right. I keep forgetting that. I gotta get you on my digital. So you got to get digitally into this. We can do it that way at least. But all right, here we go.
3 is the very first time in a non-campy. I'm not counting the 1966 Batman movies. For me, that it's not the real Batman.
Oh, it's real.
Not the modern version of Batman. Number 3, the first time we see Michael Keaton's Batman in 1989's Batman. That score is very just you. Every time you hear it, you know what's coming on. You know what's coming. That theme it always speaks to me. Number 2 is, in my opinion, the best moment in the Dark Knight trilogy: the interrogation scene from The Dark Knight.
Oh yeah,
Christian Bale and Heath Ledger. Scene starts. It's all pitch black. Lights come on. Batman's there. Just beats the living. Just beats on Joker. And the famous line, "You never start with the head." The victim gets all fuzzy. Just an amazing shot scene. The writing was pretty good, and acting, everything across the board in that scene is very good.
I'd only argue that's more of a Joker moment for me. But all right, good.
For me personally, is
I agree.
Ben Affleck's in Batman v Superman, the warehouse scene. For me,
that's good.
That literally looks like it was taken off the page of a comic book.
It was. I think it seems that way.
Ben Affleck, to me, is the most comic book accurate looking version of Bruce Wayne and Batman. We've had some like Michael Keaton and Christian Bale where they're each good at one of them. I feel like Ben Affleck does so well as both. So number 1 for me, is the Batman warehouse scene in BVS.
All right.
Oh,
I
I'm,
agree with
I'm
that.
definitely with him. I'm definitely with him. Yeah.
That was a great
The,
moment. Absolutely.
And there's also, I'll even go one further. There's a great Batman moment in the Justice League at the beginning of the movie where Batman is on top of the roof and he's like trying to get the Darkseid's minions, or sorry, Steppenwolf's, like I don't know what they're called, the demons. Anyway, he's like that whole sequence, like when he's like grappling towards that, like lowering the criminal, getting everything, like that looks so like Gotham seems so mythical. Sort of the lighting is so dark. That's
Right.
like Zack Snyder at his best, like
Yeah?
using the cinematic comic book theme.
I'm so excited about the Justice League, the Zack Snyder Justice League. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm very excited. So,
Is that like a year away?
I think it's supposed to be next year, 2021 on HBO Max.
I can't wait. That's going to be so great.
So, all right. Thank you, General Brandon Buckingham. The buck stops here, as I always like to say. That's a great public defender moment. I think the always his list probably kicks our asses list because that's just
For
how
sure.
we roll. That's just how we roll. Get that on there. But you know what? That means it's time to do our categories. We have to list our categories, but then we have one more small segment, our new game we play. But let's list out the categories first.
Yeah, they're pretty straightforward categories this week.
I bet you could probably predict them. I bet you the audience could probably predict them in the chat.
Yeah.
I wondered if the chat could go right now. Chat, throw them in there. Throw what you think are the best categories for this week, and see how well you match up with ours. We'll give you like 5 seconds. No, you won't. Go ahead, Jarvis. Talk about it.
First off, better Batman. We got the young rookie versus the grizzled veteran. The second one, better villain. Well, it can be anyone, or it can be Ra's al Ghul versus Bane, whichever way you want to do it. Want to do villains or villain. Next one, better love interest. So this is interesting because there's options. There's definitely Rachel Dawes versus, you could go with Catwoman or Miranda Tate, or I don't think there's no one else.
No, you're good. That's about right.
Better fist pumps. Well, that's just something we use from AMA because it's friggin' awesome. And the final one is better final battle.
That's pretty much says it all right there.
Both have, like, the Dark Knight doesn't have a huge final battle, but Begins and Rises, they have like these massive scenes with like people fighting left and right. So we figured, why not pitch these two battles against one another?
Yeah, I love it. I can't wait to get there. But before we go there, a new segment we do. We call it. I love how we've been able to do these like law related or class related segments.
Although there's nothing legal about
our show is not even legal.
No.
Just started because the name was Class Action.
Nope.
It's the only reason why we do it, but we would like kind of try to play into our brand that way. But we have a little segment we call Snap Judgment, where it's a little bit like Public Defender in that it's a quick off the cuff type thing. But basically, this all began because a lot of times Jarvin and I will come and we'll have these preconceived notions about how this match might go, and then the categories come and totally destroy any figments of our imagination that we actually were right in any way, shape, or form. So we want to like get out on the record beforehand our snap judgment, who we think is going to win these battles, just like without really thinking about the categories. You say Batman Begins versus Dark Knight Rises. What was your initial gut reaction? What was your gut choice? Which the one that's going to win for you?
Rises.
You got Rises. I got
Rises.
Begins. I got Begins.
Okay.
My initial gut said Batman Begins is going to win. The Dark Knight Rises is not. But I love both movies, so we're going to find out what's going to go on. So let's start off with the category number one. But you know what? Really quick, I'm loving this idea. Chat, throw in there your first snap judgment. What you think before we get into categories? What is your snap judgment on what's going to phase? Who you think Batman Begins is going to phase? Is going to defeat the Dark Knight Rises, or Dark Knight Rises is going to retire Batman Begins?
Are you either Team PLE or Team Jarvie?
There you go. The field here, Team Jarvie. So, I'm going to definitely side with you. I'm the heel. I'm the villain. So
no, I think Begins is the obvious choice. I'm going with Rises because it's like the dark horse.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. All right. Well, without further ado, let's get into the categories on the better Batman. Like Jarvie said, we have the young rookie Batman. There's a lot more Christian Bale, a lot more Bruce Wayne in this than there is Batman. Batman's only in there like the second half, really. A lot of it's like the moments in there. I'll get into it. But then again, on the other side, you got the old, basically retired Batman has to come out of retirement in order to save the day. It was kind of a weird setup for me in Dark Knight Rises. Kind of like when it begins, it seemed like he was going on the run after the Dark Knight. But then 8 years later, all of a sudden he's like a retired, broken down man in his mansion. You're like, well, how did this happen? What
has a limp here? And like he's looking very thin and
frail, and it's like, oh, this is where we are. It was definitely a unique way to begin it, and it definitely worked for what they were trying to do. But it was kind of a strange way to do it.
Because we've seen the grizzled Batman from Affleck. So seeing like Bale was at that perfect age where he easily could have played like the young Batman, and a few years later the grizzled veteran.
Right.
Yeah. Like, and I'm a huge fan of like the worn down grizzled hero. It's like, well, yeah, it's exactly the reason why I love Ben Affleck. But in Bale's case, I think his rookie Batman was better. I think I'm choosing Batman Begins. I like he's more ferocious. He's hungry, and he's one of the biggest reasons, and I'm really superficial that way, but he is huge. Like, he got in ridiculous shape. He bulked up too much for the role. When he showed up on set, he was there's a way to bulk up. You can like either do a clean bulk, or you can like get like what Tom Hardy did. Like he was, you can tell there's definitely weight down there as well. And he showed up, and Nolan was like you've got to lose some weight. You're too big. You got too big for the role. And he was like, all right, gotta slim down. And what we see, like, I think the only part where we see him is when he's doing the push-ups, when he's waking up.
Right.
When he's training on the pegs, like fighting around that. But we really don't see a lot of him shirtless, but you can tell that there's a lot of muscle in that suit. Like he's huge. You can bulk up the suit, but you can tell like there's actually like bales under there.
Right, that's true.
And I'm sorry, I'll just finish up. And I do like that. Like in The Dark Knight Rises, Bale is definitely his Batman is definitely like the wiser one. But then I come to think of it, he totally falls into the trap of like Miranda Tate. He's supposed to be. He won't let anyone use his reactor, but he still finally gives in. Like the situation is against him, he still gives in and he lets them. So they outsmart him.
Fair enough. I go with that. My initial instinct is very similar to yours. I love a lot of Bruce Wayne's journey in The Batman Begins. Like there's this moment when Bruce Wayne first comes back from his sojourn out to where he's meets Ra's al Ghul and everything, and he comes back for Joe Chill.
That is the best part of Batman Begins.
Like
the training part.
Oh yeah, that's actually true. Some great moments in that, like the whole sequence on the ice with Ra's al Ghul, and it's so classic, so awesome. It's a great moment. But I love that old moment later on. He comes back. You see him. He sees Joe Chill's. Not his trial, but he's there afterwards. And Joe Chill kind of comes out, and he has the gun, and he has this moment where like, is Bruce Wayne going to try to kill? Is that where we're going? And he doesn't get the chance. Like the idea is doesn't make the choice not to.
Yep.
Somebody took that choice away from him, and you don't know. And it was such a different thing because usually that's the time where filmmakers will like take that moment and go, okay, we're going to show you that Bruce Wayne is better than that, and he's going to make the decision not to, and that's where we get to the thing. But we never get that. Instead, we get this conflicted character, and then Rachel Dawes takes them and they go away for a bit, and then she reveals it to her, and she like beats the hell out of him. It's like, you asshole, your father was so disappointed in you, and like kicks him out of the car. And that's when it's almost like that's when he becomes Batman. He's like, I gotta find a different way to do this. I don't know.
There's a lot of anger. He needs to fight injustice. And his anger, he can't put that anger anywhere. Like the guy's dead. He's like, he doesn't know what to do.
Right, exactly. That's where it is. And so the journey from that through this whole idea of like Bruce Wayne coming back, meeting Lucius Fox, dealing with the whole storyline with his Rutger Hauer's character, as far as that, and then you deal with the idea of Bruce Wayne appealing himself as Bruce Wayne, becoming the dick to get everybody out of the party, try to save them at the end.
That is such an uncomfortable moment.
It's so bad, but you're like, this is so good. It's so bad. It's so good. So there's so much more of that to me of Batman than there is in The Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight Rises is more about I got to make a comeback for one last hurrah
Mhm.
and do everything. And there's some great heroic moments. He finally makes it back from his broken back, which is part of the problem with Batman of Dark Knight Rises. Some people have a problem with like him getting broken and coming back so quickly. Let me do some, let me do some yoga. Let me do some stretches, and I'm back. And I can I can kick Bane's ass now. I get the argument. However,
It's all willpower.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
I
the fear of death.
I accept it and believe it because it's done so well. So but it's less about it's less about his journey, really more about
he's more reactionary in Rises. Like he reacts to whatever Bane does, but in Batman Begins, it feels like he controls the narrative. Yeah,
much more proactive about it. So I love that Batman. That's so I'm going with that as well. Batman Begins for the better Batman.
All right, there we go.
Now you got better villains. Villain or villains? Did you go singular or did you go multiple?
I went singular. I'm such a huge fan of Ra's al Ghul and Bane. I'd say Ra's al Ghul is one of the most underrated comic book villains because he gets constantly overshadowed by the Joker and then immediately Bane.
Mm-hmm. I went multiple, just so you know. I did think about multiple because I love some of the minor villains just as much as I do the major villains.
They're great.
I mean, Batman Begins, you have Scarecrow, which is done so well, and he's again alongside Ra's al Ghul. They're villains you'd never seen in live action before. You've seen him in cartoons and stuff, but you've never seen him in live action, and it's done so well. His fear gas and everything else, so cool. But then also beyond that, you have Falcone. I love me some Tom Wilkinson in this. Like I said, we said before, he begged like a dog. It's just so biting and so classic, and he's such a down to earth character that you don't get in comic movies. He's not like this over the top supervillain. He's just a mob boss, and it's interesting that juxtaposition in a superhero film. Whereas Dark Knight Rises, you got to add in Catwoman semi-villain for a little bit, but not really.
I wouldn't consider her a villain.
I wouldn't either, but she's got a little bit of there. She's antagonist at some points. You got Bane, of course. You have spoilers. You have Talia al Ghul as her daughter. And then you got even Scarecrow makes the return appearance, even though it's like lesser. He's always makes these appearances. Which is so cool. It is a great cameo. He always makes these cameos in these movies. And I was like, why is Scarecrow in every one? But it works. So I love adding those that thing to the proceedings, if you will. But it does come down to Ghul versus Bane for the most part. I actually want to say, I don't know, I'm in this argument now. I'm trying to convince myself. I'm still not sold either way I want to go. Bane is at once the most overrated and underrated villain in like comics.
Yeah, because he's so quotable. Like he's become a meme and a joke, and it's overdone. But there's a reason why he became so popular. I'm going with Bane.
Okay,
I'm going with Rises here.
Okay,
this is we've heard stories like how his voice was changed a lot. Like when he was talking on set, you couldn't really understand what he was saying. So like Tom Hardy's voice was very muffled. The voice that they came up with is actually a heavily CGI'd voice. There's a lot of CGI, and the fact that they hid Tom Hardy's face, and the fact that he still feels like such a
for some people.
I know we're not supposed to feel for him, but you do when his story gets unwoven. Like like how he saved Talia, how he got all like messed up because of her. There's a lot of pain and loneliness behind those eyes.
I agree with that. Some people didn't like that. Some people think that makes him too cartoonish. I get that. The voice is definitely something you get used to or have to get acquainted with. Like it's a voice that shouldn't work. He's a big, imposing guy.
Yeah,
and he's just talking like this, and he's got this weird little to him. And it's so I can't do the Bane like other people can. But it becomes such a quotable thing, and you want to hear more. It's like, why is this working? Why is this possibly working? And I think it's part of it because Tom Hardy works. I do love Bane. I love Talia al Ghul. I love. It's something we should mention real quick. I'll try to throw this in there. I didn't know where to mention this, but when we talked about doing this, we throw the Dark Knight Rises. I told you I was like, it's going to be kind of weird to watch the trilogy, to watch these two movies without watching the Dark Knight in between. But yet, it is a very interesting juxtaposition because you have it's basically the Ra's al Ghul story. You got Batman versus Ra's al Ghul, the first one, and all of a sudden, the next thing you watch, it's Batman versus Talia al Ghul. Talia al Ghul coming for revenge, and it's such a great. it was such a. I love Dark Knight, but these two connected together.
They
made
work
for an
very well.
interesting connection. I loved that aspect.
And it gives Ra's al Ghul a backstory as well. That they're talking like a soldier who met a girl. Like this is like young Ra's al Ghul. I would love to see a young Ra's al Ghul movie.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I don't even know who you'd put, but I love that idea. Should recast that in a future one, maybe. But yeah, no. But going back to the villains now. Going back to it, at the end of the day, I think I'm going Begins again. I think I like Ra's al Ghul that much. Then you add in the Scarecrow, add in Scarius, and you add in Tom Wilkinson as the mob boss. It's just 3 solid, spectacular villains that all get their screen time and don't ever seem like it's such a hard thing to pack 3 villains into a movie without overshadowing Batman, without overshadowing each other, and not giving. But they all had enough room to breathe where it just worked for me comparatively. So we have 3 supervillains versus a awesome cartoonish villain who shouldn't work but does. And then Talia.
We didn't even mention his physicality.
Yeah, that's cool too.
Yeah, Tom Hardy.
Although I always felt like it was kind of strange to me, like the one I don't want to say downside Dark Knight Rises because again I love this movie, but you have the scene where Bane breaks Batman and he's so physically intimidating, and you're like, holy fucking shit, and this works.
He's so fast and powerful.
But then Batman comes back, and it seems like
beats him.
And he beats him, and it doesn't seem like he seems a lot less intimidating all of a sudden. Instead of like Batman winning like against like this intimidating force, it's almost like Bane loses step, and it's like, oh, this couldn't happen. Why? It's not like Batman went away and like became a superhero, like superhero. Like he just trained a little bit better and got back in shape maybe a little bit. I don't know. It seems
all about will.
I guess, or it's actually all about knocking off the mask or making it so he can't fight anymore as much. But so to me, that lessened his villain aspect of it a little bit for me. I do love Bane. I want to stress that again, even though I'm knocking a little bit. I still love Bane, but I think that's why I got to give it to Batman Begins because of 3 for 1 that all work well. Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. No, I do. And like I love Ra's al Ghul. I just feel like Bane is. Well, he's not the whole package. Ra's al Ghul is the whole package, but still, Bane is more like if I ever have to face off against Ra's al Ghul or Bane, I'll take Ra's al Ghul any day because I feel like I can reason with him. Like Bane is just gonna fucking break me.
Could be very well. All right. Well, that's villain. So let's get into the better love interests. Again, I feel like this actually is almost a cheat, like surface level. It's like, how can you not pick Rachel Dawes over you got 2 love interests in Batman and The Dark Knight Rises. You got Miranda Tate, who ends up being a traitor. So how can you not choose somebody like that? I mean, she's a better villain than she has a love interest.
I'm such a big fan of Miranda Tate and
I am too.
She's one of like, I almost want to give this to her.
Just because of how good she is.
Yep.
But she better love interest though. That's the question.
They make love. It is an interest of love.
True. That's very true. But between that, but you also got Catwoman and Selena Kyle and Anne Hathaway is fucking sweet in this movie, I gotta say. And at the end, she does get with him, and so that's actually where I have to put it. Is it Rachel Dawes? For me, it's Rachel Dawes versus Catwoman because as much as I do love Miranda Tate, it's more a villainous role. And I don't know where to go.
It's weird, yeah. Maybe I can help you because I feel like I want to choose Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. But the fact that they end up happily ever after sort of minimizes. I don't know why, like Rachel being like this unreachable goal, like that he loses, and this tragic backstory. It's so much more Batman-y, and the fact that he goes away with Selena Kyle, it's sort of like, wow, this is a fairy tale that's ending. That doesn't feel like a Batman story.
Yeah, no, that's very right. At the end there with although I kind of always like thought it was a little bit left open. Like you have Alfred.
Yeah, you don't really know if it's it's probably
genuine.
It might be like it,
or is this him like that's what he wants to see at some point?
Do you know why? Do you know why that is? It's because of Inception. If that movie hadn't come out, you'd be like, "Yep, it's a happily ever after story." Totally. Inception like fucks you up in a different movie.
That's true. That's very true. I think that's another knock against the Dark Knight Rises. A lot of people say is that Alfred in Dark Knight Rises gives up on, or not, he gives up on him is the wrong way, but he walks away from Batman, and I get why he does it. But it does seem very un-Alfred-esque in a way because he never really pushes back. The next thing he sees is at the grave, he's like, "I failed you," and it's a kind of a weird ending. I think that's why they have to give him the happy ending of him seeing him in Venice to kind of close out his character arc. I don't love that about the movie. I kind of would like to have seen him come back a little earlier, like during the final battle somehow, maybe. But I don't know. But no, we're totally veering off. I'm totally veering off topic because Alfred has nothing to do with love interest, although he's a love interest in a different way. He's much of a father-son love interest in a way. But if I had to pick, like, again, my initial instinct is I love Anne Hathaway and I love Catwoman, and I do love the journey that she got on as this character who hates society, hates everything that Bruce Wayne stands for, and yet she can't ever. I mean, she even turns him over to Bane, but she can't completely walk away from him. And he's coming back, as he kind of comes back at the end, and then she comes back again at the end to save him from Bane.
Yeah, about this whole no guns thing. Yeah, not really a fan of that.
We don't see eye to eye on that, whatever it is. I gotta give it to Catwoman. I think I'm going to give it to Catwoman.
Yeah, I get that. Like I almost wanted to say I want to give it to Rachel Dawes because, wow, Katie
Holmes.
Katie Holmes. Why? I was almost say Kate Middleton. So I was like, Katie Holmes. She's like, I'm not a fan of Maggie Gyllenhaal. She's a great actress, but just she didn't fit the role for Rachel Dawes, in my opinion.
I agree.
I was like, like Katie as Rachel was so sweet, innocent, sort of. Maggie was this more stern, like elegant woman.
Agreed. Completely agree.
But I gotta agree with you. And all like Anne Hathaway when she has the moment when she's stealing the necklace.
Yep.
And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Wayne. She's like all this scared, and he has a speech and like, oops. Sort of this whole perspective of her changes instantly, and it's done so well.
I got actually,
like,
I'll throw it out there.
Such great moments.
I'll throw it out there, and this is not actually a love interest moment, but the whole thing when she has that sequence where she's turning over the fingerprints to the guy, to Ben Mendelsohn's flunky or whatever, and they start to go to kill her, and she calls in the cops and everything else, and it has the whole thing go, the whole action sequence goes down, and she sits there, the cops turning in, and she starts going,
yeah,
and she's like, maybe it's like, and it walks, it's like.
So
badass.
great.
Badass. Yeah, it's so awesome. Really good choice there. And she goes back, and she reprised it, goes out there. Oh my God, they're there. That's you running. Okay. So good. It's so good. And
it's a great choice by Nolan. Yeah. She's gorgeous. She's like very cat-like, has the like she can move like a cat.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I gotta give it to her.
Yeah, same here. This is going to Rises.
All right, going to Rises as well. This is a battle so far. So let's get into fist bumps, man.
Yes.
Fist bumps.
Better fist bumps.
You're to lead this one. I want to hear what you have to say about this one.
I've got two of my favorite fist bumps, actually both in The Dark Knight Rises. One of them is that's like the definition of a fist bump is where he shows back up as Batman, like on his bike. They're like chasing, it's like, oh boy, you're in for a night tonight. And then you see him again, like he has this like the electromagnetic gun. And then Hans Zimmer score comes in like that moment, like when we first see him again, that is such like that moment in the cinema. I turned up my volume like when I was watching it. I was like, I don't get the same feeling because I remember in the cinema I was actually like, yes, right. And it's so cool. The music's great.
Oh, so good.
Another moment is a very different moment, and it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Robin when he's giving the speech to Bruce Wayne, how he knows that he's Batman.
Yes, this is when you actually.
Now that is like the Gandalf moment in The Return of the King when he's talking about like he's a young kid and his father died and everything. That like I related to so much of his speech. It's like they understand. They all understand. They just want the boy to do the impossible, get over it. And so like there's so much emotion behind that. And the way like Joseph Gordon-Levitt has this sort of really nice guy vibe about him. So when he gets all dark in that speech, you like feel it. You feel it hard.
It's funny you mention that. I want to pull back the curtain a little bit again. Fist bump moments are an action movie anatomy. We got that from Bettinger. Always mentioned it. That's the thing that you want to do when you see this. You like get so excited you want to see the rest of the movie, but you also like text your friends about it, and you're like, "Man, stop what you're doing. Watch this scene at 2 hours and 3 minutes. Just watch it right now. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're at a funeral. I don't care if you're in the middle of dinner. Make time. Watch it right now. You got to watch it this movie." We have.
I sent you the Joseph Gordon-Levitt
I was about
video.
to say that we adopted this, and every once in a while we do that to each other. And when we're talking about Dark Knight Rises, I looked at my Facebook message. There it is on the YouTube. That seems like you gotta watch it right now. I did, of course. I love it because we actually do that with it. It's funny, but you should do that with friends. It's a great moment. It's a great interaction with friends.
It's a lot of fun.
But yeah, I did love that moment too. But it's funny. I find like as the more I think about these fist bump moments, it's quite often not the action moments that get me. It's like cool little moments that like, and the same thing happens with both of these movies. Dark Knight Rises, one of my small little fist pumps is at the end after Bruce takes the bomb and gets it out of Gotham. They start talking about it, and all of a sudden they made a clear point to that the autopilot wasn't working, and then like all of a sudden Lucius Fox is in there, and they're like talking about there, and like, no, that was
the update 6 months ago.
6 months ago. I was like, good. Bruce Wayne, and you see Lucius Fox, but you're just like, wow. And it's like, sweet.
So that explains that's not a dream sequence. That actually happens.
Yeah, that's what makes it happen. Is he actually survives and he makes it through. And that's true. It could absolutely happen that way. So that was a fist bump moment for me to get that Bruce moment.
Yeah.
A similar moment though happens. It's also involving Lucius Fox when he's in Batman Begins. Both of my fist bump moments I think from Batman Begins involve Lucius Fox. The spelunking. Like, don't know. And then he goes, "Ooh, like what's that?" I tried to look in the Tumblr.
Oh, that's way too fancy for you.
You wouldn't be interested in that. But at the end, when Lucius Fox and Bruce Wayne takes Rutger Hauer out from the top of the Enterprises, and Rutger Hauer walks in the meeting, and Lucius Fox is giving it. He's like, "I thought I fired you. Yeah, I got a new job. Yours." And like Rutger's like, "What?
Get the memo?
Did you get the memo?" And like, we're like, "Oh, it's so good." So they wait for that the whole time. It's that Bruce Wayne knows a lot more than you think he does, and he just totally just beat you out at your own game, mister. He doesn't even have to be Batman to do anything. He just beats you at your own business game. That's how good Bruce Wayne is. Those two are some of my favorite fist bump moments. Those are action sequences. Do you have any more you want to throw out there?
Some great Alfred moments, like when he's going, like when the mansion is burning, and he goes like, "What's the point of all these push-ups if you can't even lift a bloody log?" and Batman gives a look like, well, it's not Batman, Bruce, right? That sequence,
the whole same sequence. That's the great part. That you have to get over me. Never.
And the moment we talked about the party scene when he gets rid of all the guests is like, Bruce goes, "I don't care about my name." And he goes, "It's not just your name. Right. It's also your father's name and all that is left of him. Don't destroy it."
Right. So good. Then same thing later on with Ra's al Ghul. How you finally learn to do what you must do. And I'm not going to kill you, but I don't got to save you. I don't
have to save you.
Just back in.
And I like in that sequence. I like how Ra's al Ghul, like he knows he's beaten. He just closes his eyes, like, okay, this is where it ends for me.
Yep.
Although we never see him die.
I know. I mean, we're not going to see him again. We're not going to have Nolan go back.
No, we don't. But we don't see him die.
But he might be alive. It's true.
And Joker didn't die either.
That's true. They were actually.
I'm not saying we're going to see them again. I'm just saying the characters themselves, just in the universe, can live on.
Well, we know that Joker was supposed to be in Dark Knight Rises.
That's true.
So we know that he definitely technically did survive, although now it's kind of more ambiguous. But but yeah, I think I want to give this to Batman Begins. I do. I feel like there's more. I mean, the main reason I'm going to do it is because it was so new at the time. Like Chris Nolan's Batman trilogy, the first time we see Batman since Batman and Robin. And that was, all their fist bumps were definitely for the wrong reasons in that movie. Funny aspects of it, Arnold Schwarzenegger and all that stuff. Yeah. They're not exactly great yes moments. They're more like moments. So seeing him return to the silver screen that way with Nolan behind him, And just like the whole movie is a fist bump for that reason alone. I'm like, wow, this is Batman back on the screen, and this is the best Batman, like in a way you could have possibly seen. It's so down to earth, so gritty, but such a success. Whereas Dark Knight Rises is awesome, but it has the idea of being the third movie in the trilogy, so it's less of a fist bump moment for that aspect of it. I know I'm reaching here. I gotta be. I'll be honest.
No. I do. Like my first instinct was to go Begins as well, but now I'm looking over like one of the scenes that we didn't talk about. It's not really a fist pump moment, but it's a fist pump scene, and it's what Brendan talked about as well. Is the sequence where Bane breaks Batman when he's fighting in the dungeon. Sort of, there's like water coming down, the lighting, the camera movement, everything is it's so well shot. I'm like. I watched it again. It's a painful scene, like the way he breaks his mask and everything, but the way the scenes are lit and the set itself and everything, it's I don't know. I feel like I'll talk about it in the next category as well. I feel like Nolan he transformed a lot during these movies, and in Dark Knight Rises, he's almost at the the height of his powers.
Right.
And I think I'm giving this to Rises.
Okay. Which comes down to the final battle, the final category, the final everything. Which one do we give it to here?
Yeah, the fight in the chaos in the Narrows versus the fighting on the streets of Gotham. And this is. Do you want me to take the lead or?
I'll take the lead. I'll start on this one.
All right.
Again, part of my problems with The Dark Knight Rises does stem from the fact that all of a sudden Batman's back and he's better than ever. And it kind of is a little bit of a cheap. It does cheapen the final battle for me a smidge. There's a lot in it I love. I do love Joseph Gordon-Levitt stepping up. I do love the sequences where they get the cops out finally. I love that Gordon rallies the troops, so to speak. And I love the tagging of the bomb. And then they finally, when all hell breaks loose, you see, like, I can't remember his name now, the shit weasel cop, basically, gets dressed up in his dress, uniform and sacrifice. It's a great moment. There's a lot of those good moments in there. But the final Batman versus Bane moment, again, tends to fall a little short for me, a little short for me. Whereas Batman Begins' final battle is less epic in scope, comparatively, but not by much. And I love all the aspects of it. You have Batman versus Ra's al Ghul. You have the Scarecrow's gas throughout the thing. You have all those visions of freaky, weird visions and everything else.
Oh my God, we didn't talk about Batman looking, how he looked with the gas.
The demon,
so cool.
So cool. I love all that. So at the end, I mean, Batman does save the day by letting himself in Dark Knight Rises, sacrificing himself for the bomb, so to speak, as we think. You know what? I still haven't come to a decision yet. So let me hear your thoughts on it. What do you think?
Yeah, this is very clear cut for me. My biggest problem with Batman Begins is the final scene. Is the ending. Is the last quarter of the movie. I love, like, 3/4 of Batman Begins is like almost perfect. Well, it is perfect, and I just can't. I don't like. You can tell that it's not a real set that it's shot. It's like a studio. There's a lot of gas, the Narrows. I know it's supposed to look like it's like cramped and stuff like that, and it's like a very, impoverished part of the city. But still, like, I don't like, except for the trains, which are really cool looking. I don't like where the battle happens, and there's a lot of chaos. And when you put it up against Dark Knight Rises, they're actually on the streets. There's a lot of people. You can see the scale. People are fighting there, and amongst all that, like, fighting, Bane and Batman just go head to head. Like, they find each other. It's like they're on the battlefield. They're about to throw down. I do like the technicality and the clearness of the final battle in The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, I will say also that is actually something to bring up that I noticed specifically in my viewing The Dark Knight Rises that you're watching. And usually in these kind of sequences, you have the Batman, like the hero and the villain fight each other, and they have like, I gotta give them room to fight, so he gets all the watch. Yeah, not like that at all. They're like, all right, it just could have been two other people. It's like Jack Schmo and whoever's fighting Joe Schmo too, and there's Batman and Bane just fighting at the same time right next to him. I like that aspect of it. It's kind of a more I can't say realistic, but like more like of a true story scenario in a way, how it would go down in that situation.
I would also say the fact that you say that Batman shows up, he's better than ever. He does get the better of Bane when they're like brawling, but he doesn't defeat him. Like Anne Hathaway shows up and shoots Bane. He doesn't defeat Bane.
No, that's true. That's true. That's true. I just feel like Batman, like, I mean, I don't know. Batman.
Yeah, I do know. He beats him in that like brawl in that moment, sure, but he doesn't kill him. He doesn't like incapacitate him. Bane still gets back up, and he's like almost about to kill Batman.
Yeah.
When Catwoman just got to blast him away.
I love Robin basically when he
yeah, like people have been shitting all over the Robin reveal. I love it. Love it. I wish that it came to a Nightwing movie, like with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, I don't understand why.
I really wanted that.
It's the same thing as the Martha sequence for us. I don't get why people shit on it so much. It's like it's not like a big deal.
Exactly. Yes, it's like the Martha sequence.
Nice
I agree.
This is just a nice little like to the fans. Like you basically want Robin the entire movie. You just didn't get Robin in the uniform. You don't need to. He just at the end you say his name is Robin. That's cool. That's kind of nice little. It makes sense. But I love the sequence when he gets the cops out. Like, Batman throws the explosive at him. He's like, not to be a pain in the ass, but do you have anything bigger? And then Batman shows up with the flame. They blow it out and they get the cops out. I love that. Robin gets they get all the kids out, trying to get the whole sequence where they have the kids on the bridge and he's trying to get them over and they're all like shooting at him. It's a heartbreaking moment. You're like, oh god damn. But again, I guess
also the moment when Robin finds out that Bruce left his home to the children. Such a great moment. Like he shows up, he's like, and all in his entirety for one reason and one reason only, to be given to the boys' home or like the children. It's like smiles, and the next you get this like Professor X moment when there's Martha's and Thomas Wayne's like safe haven or something like that. It's I love that.
And I'll bring it up again, like I brought it before. I love Catwoman's return and Catwoman's whole arc in the final battle as well. So I think I'm going to give it to Dark Knight Rises. I think I am. Barely.
I convinced you.
Convinced me. I love Batman Begins, but I think the final. I mean, I got to say that the Dark Knight Rises has a little bit of an edge in terms of like since it's the finale of the trilogy, it has more of an epic feel to it anyway. Because it's got.
Well, it's part of what I said as well. That's Nolan has grown. Like he only uses real sets. Like he real places. He loves to use them. You can tell that in Batman Begins, the narrow scene, that was like a built set that wasn't like really on the streets.
Right.
That's what I meant by like how Nolan grew. Now, like on the final battle in The Dark Knight Rises, they're actually there doing it on a larger scale. And I know you say like, sure, they have more toys to play with, but I feel like, that makes the movie better. It's not supposed to be fair.
I get that. I agree. So I guess that's it, man. That's what we had. Are you ready to hear what won? Because we have a winner. We do have a winner, and it's barely a winner. It's
all right.
Winning 6-4, basically meaning if I had gone a different way, we would have had a hung jury. It is The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
6-4. I realized that going in, like, oh man, what do I do? Is like this a thing? And I never let that sway me. I never let. We've done hung jury.
I can tell you're not happy with the result.
I'm not that I'm not.
I
happy.
can tell. I can see your face. I can tell.
I'm surprised at myself a little bit because I generally like Batman Begins better. That's one of the things. I generally like Batman Begins better as a movie overall. Like if I'm going to choose to watch one of the two, I probably would throw on Begins. Although maybe not as much as I think. I guess in a way is what I'm trying to say. Because I did like Dark Knight Rises a lot more this time around than I had before. And I liked it before, but it felt like I think every time I watch the movie, I'm able to forgive the weaknesses a little bit more because they're not as jarring. I expect the weaknesses. I expect those moments that I don't like. So I'm kind of like, okay, I already know I don't like this part, so I can move on.
Yeah.
The parts I do love. And that's why it worked for me. So 6-4, we win. Dark Knight Rises. I wonder if how the chat feels now also about that. So let us know if you know. I guess Team Jarvie wins this week as far as that goes. As far as judgment goes.
So you have to shave your head for next week.
No, that would never a rule. Never a rule. If you want to get something like that, maybe we'll have to talk off air about something like that maybe at some point. But I'm not quite ready to do that. But either way,
we would call the show Bald Action.
The world ready for that. Kim is definitely not ready for that. If I ever shave my head, I'm telling you that much right now. She actually threatened that during quarantine. I was like, I'll shave my head. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Dare.
what you doing? I'm like, I felt like she was like Sean Astin in Lord of the Rings at the end there, Frodo, and Frodo's like hanging off the edge, and he's like, "Gotta go." She's like, all right, fine.
Do it, Mr. Frodo.
All right. Anyway, that's the show for the night, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We had a great time here. So we have a couple of shows already still planned out next week, since you're watching this Saturday, next week, in honor of Independence Day in America. We're not doing Independence Day. We are doing something in the line, though. Shall we say patriotic?
Yes. Something brave. Something with heart.
With heart. We're going to put up Braveheart versus the Patriot.
Oh, I'm so happy for that episode.
I love Bill Gibson's epic historical fights either way. I can't wait to talk about these two. These are both very much big time movies for me.
Can't wait to watch them.
Yeah.
Can't wait to watch them.
I really do. Me too. I'm excited to watch these guys. It's been a little bit for me. Yeah, I kind of feel like Braveheart. I'm not going to give snap judgment now. I feel like Braveheart is the more respected of the movies.
Yeah.
There's so many great moments.
Patriot is more rewatchable.
It's a fun, silly thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Get these great fist bump moments. You're like, oh man, I can't wait to watch that again. So I don't have to say how that goes. I'm very interested in that. And then next week after that, we actually have planned out. Hopefully, we're going to have to confirm our friend Eddie Green, a big action movie anatomy fan. He has his own podcast that Jarvis on. We're going to be putting up 2 Tony Scott movies against each other. We're going to be putting up The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 versus Unstoppable, 2 train movies, 2 Denzel movies.
Denzel on trains versus Denzel on trains.
Love it with Tony Scott. And that actually it was inspired by the podcast you're on. And then we also further went along, and we're going to make a double back-to-back Tony Scott weeks. I believe the week after that, I'm going to have to confirm this as well. We're going to go live again. We haven't done a class action live in a little bit. The class action live with our special guest, Ben Bateman. Speaking of Taking it 1, 2, 3. And we're going to be ranking the at least the top 5 Tony Scott movies between us at that point. And I'm going through the Tony Scott category for now, and it's a lot of fun.
You know what? I think I'm gonna do the watch through as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I have that opportunity now, and I think I'm gonna go through all of them.
They are all. I gotta tell you, here's the thing. The thing about Tony Scott, and I'll say it real quick. I love Tony Scott. He's not ever mentioned as like he's never gonna be mentioned as one of the greatest filmmakers of all time.
For me, he is.
But to me, what he is that he is consistent.
Yeah.
What you're going to get, and there's something to be said about a competent filmmaker, and competent sounds like a derogatory term, but it's not at all to me. It's like you know what you're going to get with a Tony Scott film. He's going to give you exactly what you need. It's going to be a good, solid movie, no matter what. Even if he doesn't hit the heights of some of the other people, you know you're going to get a great movie out of Tony Scott. And you're gonna. So every time I have not seen a movie from Tony Scott in this whole watch along so far that I'm like, it's all been solid choice. At least 3.5 stars or better on almost all of them, I think, at this point.
Yep.
So
well said. Well said.
So that's it. Where can they find you, Charlie?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Sorry,
the Summer Festival.
So don't look me up when I'm there. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Richard Eric with a K Jarvie. And you can find me here weekly with Paul Denuzio on Class Action.
There you go. And for me, you can find me at Paul Denuzio on Twitter. You can find me at the Team Action Patreon, Benninger's, which we never actually did this week. We're on the Action YouTube channel. Thank you, Benninger, for giving us this little slot on the YouTubes. I run their Patreon, so join the Patreon. We have a lot of cool things coming with that. The General Debate is the show I help co-host MC for them on this channel, where we put up the Action Army generals against each other. Coming up, well, at this point, by the time you see this, it'll just have happened on Thursday. So I mean, one of those weird things recording, it's gonna happen, and then you're going to see this episode. But that's kind of a fun thing we do with that as well. Also, you can find me in the Call to Action podcast, where I host Chill to Action, a show with Danielle Ramirez, where we talk to the Showdown competitors, and actually Kelsey Kirkland actually joined us as a full-time third person. She runs our backgrounds. I love her as well. That's fun. And finally, open up PLD Projects recently, my own YouTube channel. And so far, all the content has been a few Star Wars shows and a show about V, which is my favorite 80s sci-fi franchise, outside of Star Wars, really. But I also am threatening the imminent arrival of the first episode of the Harris Dance, where I go through the whole Ed Harris filmography and hopefully make you love him as much as I do. Not possible, but at least I'll try. I'll die trying. So that being said, love you guys. Have a great week. Come back next week. Leave a like, subscribe, comment, and let us know some choices you have, because we do. Even though we have the next 3 weeks spread out. We're always looking for more categories to put
Yeah.
up against each other. We want to see what you want to see on this show. So there we go. Without further ado, I guess the final thing we always say is court is adjourned.